Now ahead of Donald Trump's inauguration as the next US president, Southeast Asian firms are bracing for the ripple effects of harsher tariffs. Now, as a key player in the semiconductor and solar industries, Malaysia would not be exempted from this as the US intensifies its trade war on China. Now, to help us understand these implications, we have Faye Kwan with us. Faye, maybe you can tell us or begin with what's the outlook or refresher of sorts of Trump's tariff policies?
Sure, Hafiz. So we know that Donald Trump is gearing up for a series of bold measures. That includes tariffs, all from the standpoint of protecting American-made products. It's all part of his agenda to make America great again. Among these is a 25% tariff on key trading partners, Mexico and Canada. And Trump says it's to push them to crack down on drugs and migrants crossing the border. And of course, with China being the #1 manufacturer in the world and with its global reach, it will not be able to escape from this. In fact, it's probably set to see heavier tariffs, possibly as high as 60%. Now that's even steeper than Trump's first term. So it's really a strategy that's going to have ripple effects on global trade and the economy.
Now, speaking about ripple effects, how do we look at the potential impacts on Southeast Asian nations, including us?
Now, we've already seen the some fallout from the US-China trade war that started in 2018. As a result of that, a lot of Chinese companies have shifted their operations to Southeast Asia to dodge these tariffs, making it a region that is now a key player in the global supply chain. Now, Trump's latest idea here is that he wants something called the External Revenue Service to collect tariffs and revenue from foreign sources. But the reality here, Hafiz, is that tariffs aren't paid by foreign countries. They're paid by American companies who are importing these goods. So that will really mean higher costs for consumers. The ones who will really feel the pinch will be the average American citizen. And Trump says that these tariffs are to curb inflation, but the real hit is going to be on Americans' pocketbooks. Now, earlier I spoke to Professor Saeed Khan from the US about this. Let's hear what he has to say.
I think Trump is going to have to be very, very careful when it comes to the rhetoric of the tariffs, the targets of the tariffs, and then how it's going to affect a country which is still coming out of inflation and which in many ways he was successful winning his election saying that he was going to bring down inflation. It may not, of course, affect Malaysia itself or Thailand or some of these other countries. Trump will probably not put tariffs on them for two reasons. One is maybe he might try to court these countries away from the sphere of influence of China. That might be wishful thinking because China, of course, is the regional superpower, so there's proximity that's involved. But then also there are some very significant investments. The other reason, though, that I think we will find that maybe Malaysia, Thailand, and some of the other ASEAN countries are a little bit risk averse to go over to the American side of the ledger is, quite frankly, America is no longer reliable. Whether it will play the long game, that here you have these overtures made, these gestures made, these pivotings made by these countries. We don't know how long that will last because Trump, with the blink of an eye or the stroke of a pen, can, and his attention span being as low as it is, may then move towards some other country and say, I'm bored with this.
So Prof Saeed said basically with a stroke of a pen, Trump could make things happen. How soon can we expect these tariffs to take place once Trump assumes office, I guess, hours from now?
Well, speaking about his inauguration, it's already shaping up to be quite historic. There are reports that several foreign officials will be in attendance, and that's a first for the US. A standout guest here is Chinese Vice President Han Zheng, there to represent Xi Jinping, and that's a major diplomatic signal, Hafiz. But despite that, we can, in Trump's inauguration speech, we can expect him to likely focus more on the domestic agenda. So that's the economy and the measures that he's going to take. He's already made it clear that he plans to tackle immigration head-on, promising severe restrictions and what he's calling the largest deportation effort in US history. To add to this, let's hear more from Saeed Khan.
Well, I think the #1 priority in Trump's inauguration speech is going to be Trump. He is going to speak very much in the first person, and I am sure that he's going to use the power of the pulpit, first of all, to settle some scores, I think he will name names in what he feels is where he has been wronged. He will make statements of saying that he's fully vindicated, and in a way, even though it's improper, say that he's been fully absolved of all of those things that for which he'd been not only accused but also convicted, because for him the ends justify the means.
Now, from my conversation with Saeed, I think it's also worth mentioning that he doubts there's going to be anything specific that Trump will mention in his speech, other than the fact that he will probably mention the word tariff.
Well, tariff is the magic word. Thanks very much, Faye Kwan. That's our correspondent speaking about Trump's tariff policies. We're going to take a short break. Stay tuned.